Yes, I bet you have.
Maclunkey.
Maclunkey.
Why is that a thing?
I don't know. No one knows what it means.
Can we go back? Did he call Han Solo a gringo?
I think he did. Maclunkey.
Maclunkey.
Gringo Maclunkey.
Then he dies.
Dog. Someone did a voiceover of when Yoda dies, and right before like as he's passing, he just goes
Maclunkey.
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 Who's this?
Hey, welcome to Garagecast.
Oh my god. So this episode
I'm-
is titled Maclunkey.
Yeah, welcome to Garagecast. I'm Ellie, local tattoo artist. To my right is...
Me, Aiden.
Wonderful.
I sometimes draw
nice.
things.
And in front of them is...
You can follow me at AidenXWArt.
Oh wow,
on
he
Instagram.
just completely cut off my plug.
Plug.
You can follow me at who's.music. I'm Who's. I'm a producer, mixer, master, artist, and student. Yeah. Welcome to Garagecast. What's on the
Master of what?
masterer?
Masterer.
You see, because when you mix a track, you have to master the track for loudness and to catch peaks.
Cool, we're good.
What if you were mastering a track about baiting some fish?
I have a track called Masturbating.
What? You can't say that.
That's not a curse.
How is Disney gonna buy us out if you're talking about jerking it?
Are you telling me that the Disney Plus execs don't jerk it anyway?
In the Disney Plus
Well,
version,
please,
wait,
Disney executives are saints, and they never touch them.
They never touch little
touch
boys.
their own pee-pee.
in the Disney Plus version of this airing of Garagecast, Maclunkey.
Maclunkey. Dog.
Is that copyright?
Wait, please.
Can we
there
say
be?
Maclunkey?
Wait, we need to petition.
Oh no, can we not say Maclunkey?
No, we can say Maclunkey.
Oh no!
If Maclunkey is copywritten, this world is doomed.
Maclunkey.
I swear.
Maclunkey.
If Maclunkey is copywritten, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Disney's gonna be like, Maclunkey is our word, cease and desist right now.
What does Maclunkey mean, Disney?
If Maclunkey
It means
is
we didn't shoot first.
That is a good point.
if Maclunkey is copyrighted, can we replace Maclunkey with like a different
Yeah.
word?
It's Greedo.
I said it wrong.
Oh wait, is it Gweet? Nope.
It's
that's
Greedo.
Greedo. I think we have to bleep half of the things I just said. I think I inadvertently said a racial slur.
Did
I'm
we
very
accidentally?
sorry.
Did we commit accidental racism right there?
I was just trying to say a Star Wars character's name, and I said it wrong.
I would like to state that we are all white, but we're not racist.
And hey,
Well,
Aiden,
I'm Hispanic, thank you.
You don't look Hispanic though.
I am Hispanic, though.
But
My
you don't
great-grandpa
look it.
came over from
Aiden,
Mexico.
two people in this room are mixed. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I want you to respect me when you talk about my culture.
Are you saying that you're mixed?
We should not have laughed at that and makes it look very bad.
No, we do have two very mixed people in this
Also,
room.
I'm going to be the only one not going to plug myself because I have some self-respect. However, if you'd like to go listen to a great album, go listen to Natural One on Spotify by the artist Who's.
Or Natural 20. Also, you can follow Alinthris at Alinthris on Instagram.
Oh! I said I wouldn't plug myself. Why are
And
you
you didn't.
plugging me?
Yeah,
You
because
didn't
you
plug
deserve
yourself.
it. You deserve it.
So you kept your promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not plug myself.
And I'd like to plug myself at AidenXWart.
You plugged
You
yourself
already
twice.
plugged yourself.
You shameless bleep word that I can't say, otherwise it's more work for me later.
God, this is more difficult than
What?
playing Sea of Thieves earlier.
Like,
Good segue. Hey Ellie, how's Sea
You're
of
the
Thieves?
worst thing in the world. I can't do a good segue to save my life because you call it out every single God, that's so bleeped. Okay. Anyway, I was playing Sea of Thieves earlier, Parker.
to be fair, it was a bad segue.
You're a bad segue.
Ooh.
Do one good segue, and then you can talk about how my segues
I never said
are
I was
bad.
good at segues. I just said that was a bad
It
segue.
wasn't. It was not my best.
You kind of stole that segue like a thief in a sea of thieves.
Oh no.
All right.
Wow, that joke really made me want to shoot myself. Speaking of shooting myself, Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah, Disney Plus is gonna love the suicide jokes. Hey everybody, welcome.
Hey. Okay.
everyone.
So you were
Welcome
playing
to
Sea of Thieves.
Garagecast.
No, we're keeping it all. It's staying in.
It's staying in.
It's
So
staying in.
you were playing Sea of Thieves.
I was. Can I just say before we start talking about Sea of Thieves that when Sea of Thieves came out, I played it for like maybe an hour and went, okay, I've played the whole game. Like, this is all there really is. The entire game kind of consists of, like, you get a voyage, you go on a voyage, you do the voyage. Sorry, I stopped talking because Aiden just chucked his phone on the ground. Like
It's over by your foot now.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. Here.
Aiden chucked his
my
phone
guy.
like when you climb in a cannonball.
Why
at
did you
CFD.
just chuck your phone?
Good segue, everybody.
Wait, was it just? It looked. So I don't know what actually happened, but it looked like you saw something on your hand or something and went no, and like chucked your phone.
No, I had my phone on like resting on my 4 fingers.
Right.
And I just like it tipped forward for a second, and I tried to move my hand to catch where it was falling, but I didn't do it correctly, so I just threw my phone. My phone is fine, by the way.
However, if it was like a ninja star, you would have done very well.
So Ellie,
The Ted, you can't. Not even a pity, not even anything. You just can't.
sorry.
You just have to look at me.
okay,
dead in the
back
eyes.
on the dock. Okay, so
Darby,
Sea of
can you
Thieves.
lay this over after Ellie's quote or joke right there? There, is that good?
I'm just ashamed now.
Okay, so with Sea of Thieves, I actually want to counter your counterpoint. I don't think Sea of Thieves is a good game, technically.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think Sea of Thieves is actually a very badly made game. And it's...
Well-
no, wait, let me finish. It is technically sound, and it works. Sure. I think what it sets out to do doesn't technically work unless you have really great friends.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's a badly made game because that is what they made the game for.
Yeah.
They made it so you can go be pirates with your friends. And to that credit, it does very well. However, when I first played the game, I was like, oh, there isn't much to this. And Rare told all the fans of Sea of Thieves at the very beginning, they were like, there's more coming. This is the base game. It's a finished game. You can play it for hours. There's like extra stuff you can unlock. But there's more coming. We're not going to stop updating this game. We're going to continue to add stuff constantly. And from what I know, the game does add things constantly. They have like beta testers beta testing stuff all the time, and they have like new features constantly coming to the game. And one of the things they've added is the Tall Tales, which is the Sea of Thieves version of story missions. Who's and I have done one of them, which is like almost like pulling teeth at this point. Every time you have to do it.
I've done it 3 times. You've now done it 5.
I've done it 7 times.
Why?
I've done it 7 times because the first 2 times I did it, I got ganked. The quest in the Tall Tale we're talking about is the Briggsy quest for anybody who...
I have actually done that once.
Right. The quest consists of you find an island that leads you to a skeleton captain who has a key, and you go to a different island and you find a skeleton captain who is like hanging out near a chest that's buried underground, and you open the key with the chest and you get some of Briggsy's items. You take them to the Order of Souls, which is just one of the factions in Sea of Thieves for those that don't actually play Sea of Thieves, and you turn in those items, and she does some magic, and she gives you a compass that will lead you to the renowned skeleton lord Briggsy, who is, the first time you encounter her, like a cool character. She's got like a really cool mask and a cool design.
Keyword the first.
Fighting Briggsy is not enjoyable.
It's like pulling
So
teeth.
long.
It's like pulling teeth.
It really, and like I get the idea of like, oh, this is a skeleton lord. It's supposed to be a hard fight. But the fight in and of itself isn't really that hard. It's just long. And you don't feel like you're making any progress because you can't see anybody's like health bar. So it really just it's just long, and it just sucks.
It's long, it's tedious. Here's the thing. I can deal with long, tedious boss fights for cool things. The Briggsy, like what you get for Briggsy from what I've heard, is dope.
Cool.
Here's the thing. Briggsy doesn't shut up.
No. Briggsy does not just... I never asked to be cursed.
I never asked to be on loop every 5 seconds.
Not bad for a flesh-faced thief.
Oh my god. Legit, fighting Briggsy is the epitome of wishing you could go into the game's like base code and just turn off Briggsy. Like,
oh no.
I've never wanted to hack a game more in my life than to make Briggsy shut up.
However, can I say that the first Tall Tale that you do, you have to solve a puzzle in which a room is filling up with water.
Which broke on us, by the way.
It didn't actually. We were just dumb.
Oh, yeah, we were dumb.
Because it gave us the same puzzle the second time, and we solved it correctly the second time.
Yeah, we're big dumb.
I was going to not mention that we were big dumb. But
we have to be honest. We're big dumb. We're big dumb.
I solved the puzzle first try.
So did I.
I thought it was pretty easy.
When I was helping Parker and our friend Adam do it, the room started filling up with water, and I was like, yeah, I'll let you guys figure this out. You guys struggling? Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. And then they're like, all right, Ellie, solve the puzzle for us. We don't know what's happening. We're all going to die. And then I tried to do it, and I just didn't know, because the first time I did it, it just was a different puzzle, and I didn't understand what the book was telling us to do. Because the symbols weren't, you had to like combine two of the symbols rather than just one of the symbols being what it was. And we drowned to death.
Yep.
And then we did it like really quick the first time.
The second time.
Second time.
Yep. The thing is with Sea of Thieves, every time I've played Sea of Thieves, I've had the exact same reaction of, this game is like okay with friends, a lot of fun with friends, and is solely made for the purpose of playing with friends, and I respect that. But
I was actually going to lead into that point. The Tall Tales, I have had so much fun doing after the Brixie fight. I've done 2 of them since you and I last played together, and they're really cool. They're really cute. Like, as far as like, if the game set out to be like, hey, you're going on a pirate adventure being a pirate and you do pirate things, very cool.
I agree that the Tall Tales were fun. I think Briggsy just got very soured on me because of how many times I did it. I think my biggest issue with Sea of Thieves is that I wish some base things were more fleshed out to make it more fun for someone like me that enjoys like customization and like having fights be different than the same thing over and over again. And that's no diss. Sea of Thieves mechanics work fine, but it's like you have the same 3 guns that you can't modify in any way except for skins. You have the same sword that does the same thing every time. The ships.
A different play style.
I want a different play style with Sea of Thieves.
What I was talking to Sharky about is that I would love to be able to select classes.
Yes, I would love that.
Like, I would love to be like, oh, you're a gunner, you take extra cannonball damage, but you deal extra cannonball damage.
Yeah.
Or you're a captain, you can open a ship's map anywhere. Like,
that
you
would
can
be really
figure
dope.
out where you are in the world. You can like open a ship's map and show people, or that's like the navigator can do that. Or there are like star constellations in Sea of Thieves, and like one of the later quests, you use them to solve a ton of puzzles even during the day. It's very, very cool. I can't wait to do that one with you.
Yeah, down.
Like let the navigator be able to do that, to actually like find their way to things and like have extra cool stuff. I feel like it's the whole point behind, I've talked to a few people, and the point of Sea of Thieves is that it's all balanced. There, you can join the game day one, and you have every opportunity to beat somebody who's been playing for.
And that's dope. But I feel like there's no progression.
There isn't progression in any sort of sense like that. The only progression you get is like the more customizable options that you unlock the more you play the game, the more outfits and everything like that. I would love to see some sort of like trophy progression. Like, how cool would it be if there was like a room that you could have as like, or like whenever you're in your ship, you can like put up all the trophies of all the different things you've done?
Yes, every time I've been on a ship, I constantly have this feeling of this ship could belong to thousands of other people, and there's nothing that makes it my ship.
Right.
There's just different skins, and I think having progression in a multiplayer game isn't always needed, but in a game like Sea of Thieves, where the combat isn't the main reason you're playing, there needs to be some form of progression. Because you don't need progression in games like Unreal Tournament, or these multiplayer games that are just fun because of their base mechanics. You need something in Sea of Thieves.
I have something to bring up upon that.
Go for
What's
it.
that?
Have you guys seen the new gameplay feature trailer for Overwatch 2?
I haven't.
I have not.
They are introducing like new skills and abilities that you can unlock through playing the game.
I don't know how I feel about that with the way that Overwatch is set up.
I do not know if they are solely single player based, because they are going to lean towards more single player play in Overwatch 2.
Oh.
However, if they do introduce that into multiplayer, why? You know?
I will just jump off rip with this. I
Blizzard.
think this is a perfect counterpoint to Sea of Thieves. You have a game like Overwatch that, in my opinion, has base mechanics that are fun, that you can enjoy, that you can play over and over again, a la I'm going to compare it to Halo, and just in the fact that the multiplayer is timeless in a lot of ways. Why bring in something like progression? Why bring in something like Aiden opened up the garage and brought the dog in? why bring up something like progression when it doesn't need it? I feel like you're throwing too many spices into the pot. The meal is going to get suffered. The meal is going to suffer because of it.
I kind of see what you're saying. My thing is that, like... Okay, let me just start by saying Overwatch and Sea of Thieves are two completely different games.
Completely.
Right. So having progression in Sea of Thieves, even if it's just like aesthetic progression, even if it's not anything like gameplay mechanic, it doesn't give you an advantage on another player. How cool would it be to walk into somebody else's ship and see like all the trophies of all these adventures they've been on? If they've like done X amount of gold hoarder missions, maybe they can have a bigger and bigger pile of gold in their ship.
Yeah. Or how cool would it be to be able to purchase like paintings for the inside of your ship and like hang them up? Or even when it comes to like the gunplay or the sword mining, how cool to be like, hey, this is my sword with this skin you can get, but I have this engraving that I got from this, and it's for me personally. Or like, hey, here's this like extra clip that I got for the gun, like something.
A little bit more just like personalized aesthetic. However, before we tangent off this a little bit more, Overwatch has always set up to have like, it's got a really cool story almost completely outside the game. Mm-hmm. But the game itself is just a shooter. Why are you having progression to just a teamwork shooter?
The thing is, I really think Aiden and I were having this conversation earlier, just kind of comparing Overwatch to Halo, which you wouldn't think to kind of compare the two, but they have a lot of similarities.
I agree. Sure.
In my opinion, the perfect Overwatch sequel would be, hey, give us a single player campaign, give us some fleshed out stories, give us some dope missions.
Counterpoint, give us a co-op campaign.
Give us a co-op campaign, a la Halo 3 and Reach.
Right.
Give us that pleasure of being able to experience your game stories outside of the game.
For sure.
And then have a multiplayer mode that is like Overwatch 1's, which exists in its own space, that is fun and doesn't need progression to be fun.
I would enjoy diverse abilities. Like, if you could play a character that had different choices for abilities, so you could play that character exactly the way you wanted to play it, I'd be very, very down for that. But not if you had to progress for it.
And here's the thing.
So you're looking for more like a strategic ability assignment. Like,
yeah.
I want this, and this.
And
my playstyle of this character is different than somebody else's.
Yeah.
But why go for like, why are they trying to give us like, oh, play the game X amount of times or get a certain amount of experience and earn these abilities? Like, that doesn't feel good.
So here's where I'll jump in as well for my past previous game knowledge. Are they doing, hey, you need to play the game and level up? Or, hey, you need to play the game and you get points that you can then buy things? Because this sounds like the biggest issue that a lot of people had between Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and the Modern Warfare games. Are you guys familiar at all? Is this my lane? In the Modern Warfare games, the way you got new guns was you played through the game and you leveled up. It's normal system. It got annoying because if you wanted a gun that didn't have any enhancements, just the fact that it was a different playstyle, you had to play hours and hours of the game to get to the playstyle you wanted. In Black Ops, all you had to do was play games that were made money. Everything was available to you. Nothing was like super price gouged. It was like, hey, if you play 2 games, you now have a couple $100, buy the gun you want, boom. And the game is still fun and has a feeling of progression. If Overwatch 2 is doing the thing where it's like, all right, you play the game, you get credits, then you can buy guns without microtransactions, that's a fun multiplayer mode. Because it'd be dope if like, hey, I like playing Genji, and I like his like sword dash, but if he has a different movement, maybe where he like clones himself, and I need to play 2 games to get enough credits to buy that, that's fun, that's incentive. But if I have to get to level 60 to be able to get a Genji move, what's the point of that?
Can I make a counterpoint to that, actually?
Go for it.
I'm so sick of play the game enough and you unlock abilities. I don't have time for that. Like,
I get that.
I do so much in my day-to-day life just trying to run like Dungeons and Dragons and like go to work and deal with like social cues and this, that like it's I don't have time to play to get to level 60 in anything. It's one of the reasons I stopped playing World of Warcraft. Like,
Filthy casual.
I am a filthy casual, and
I'm also a filthy casual.
It's like when I have the time to play a game, I love to play a game, but that's one of the reasons I've played Sea of Thieves more than anything else recently, because it is a game you can pick up and go.
I agree.
And also it's a game that like you can go anywhere in the world from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And like that's not always good. Like, I loved Red Dead Redemption 2, but I got so sick and tired of riding my horse
I did too.
across the world.
Yep. After a while, it was just like, where is the fast travel? I just want to go where I'm needing to go. Because you just get stuck in this constant loop of there's not enough random encounters to make the ride interesting.
Right. But I mean, I feel like I talked to somebody about this because we talked about Outer Worlds previously, depending on when these podcasts come out.
We've had discussions about Outer Worlds either in private or in public.
Right. And the thing about Outer Worlds is that it feels like an open world game. But it's not. There are small maps that you can jump between different small maps, and that's really it. There are like levels, and they're kind of like open-ended levels, but it's not a quote-unquote open world game. And the thing is that I think they accomplish what some other like open world or sandbox RPGs have tried to do while still completely being open world. Or still completely being a good game and like feeling like it's open world.
I half agree with you. I think Sea of Thieves open world is, for the most part, interesting and fun. I just think that a lot of the islands don't have enough detail as other islands, and it leaves some places feeling a little more hollow than others. I think that also just has to do with my issues with like the base game, where there's like not much to do besides what it gives you, and with more detail in the islands, there's not really like something there for that.
Right.
But
they are adding things to the islands.
No, and here's the thing. The fact that you said, and I believe you because I've been playing the game, Rare really cares about this game.
They do.
And it's very good to see because Rare didn't really do well for like the past 10, 15 years when it came to
Rare
games.
also really cares about their fans.
Yeah, they care a lot. And I'm actually very happy to see that. Still waiting for, I would love another like 3D based platformer from Rare one day. We all would.
Right.
But I'm really happy to see that they care, and they're one of the game developers that's like constantly like reaching out. What do you want? What do you want? And also, thank you Xbox Game Pass for letting me pay $1 to have free games for the next 6 months.
Right. Game Pass is really cool, but like we've talked a lot about like, so there's open world games and like 3D platforming, like you said, and there's more streamlined, like Halo isn't really an open world game. It's a story based linear shooter. You're going on a path, even if it feels like you can go left or right. There's boundaries to that.
They're cross paths that lead to one direction.
Right. You are going in a direction. What is the future of games? Like what are games gonna be? Are they going to keep being these, like, kind of more like Sea of Thieves, where it's kind of a sandbox game you can pick up and play? Or because I haven't seen, Outer Worlds is the first, like, really heavily story-based game I've seen in a while.
The thing is,
Aiden has summoned back up from the couch.
Sorry.
I was literally about to
100% like to disagree.
Yep.
Please.
I have, let me quickly look through, because I have a video game wish list.
Okay.
For games that I very much want to play.
I will jump in real quick before Aiden
goes
off on
while
his
he's
point.
looking.
I half agree, half disagree with you.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people like to always say single-player games are dead. They're not. They're just more of a niche than they have been before. I'll put it to this. One of the best-selling games of last year was the God of War game.
It's exactly the first game I was going to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
God of War. I have not played it yet.
I have not either.
I do not own a PS4.
You can play mine.
It feels wrong.
I know.
However, God of War I have heard is one of the best, like, single player games that like not only to ever exist but to come out like very recently. Also, I've heard that Spider-Man PS4 is a good game.
I've played that very briefly because my very good and like so sweet friend Drake let me borrow it just to like, hey, I've played this for a while, but I'm kind of done playing it right now. You can play it until you're bored of it, and like I don't have a lot of time to play video games. So again, thank you, Drake. If you ever want your game back, just let me know.
Go for it.
I still have more games.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, no. Let's
also Days Gone, which is another PS4 game. That was a zombie apocalypse based game. I have not looked into it a lot, but it does also seem like an entertaining single player game.
Just to touch on that, what makes Days Gone different than like any other of the thousands of zombie survival games that are out now?
From what I've heard, and Aiden, you can back me up or disagree with me on this. I'm assuming you don't know much about the game. No. So what I've heard, the game's just kind of like okay. In all honesty, a lot of reviews I've been thinking just kind of like the ideas are cool. They're just not greatly executed.
Yeah.
But I will jump on a path real quick of where you're going. The last 2 games you listed are open world games.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking about future of games,
Open world.
yes and no. Games throughout history go through phases because people go through phases, businesses go through phases.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I know. No, my thought was just games are very much in the battle royale phase right now. And
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was like,
but we're slowly getting out of that.
We are.
Yeah,
And
but it's the worst.
Yep. But phases don't sometimes last long, sometimes they last short. In the late 90s, it was the 3D platformer craze.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be Mario 64, and nobody but very few things could be Mario 64. In the late 2000s, it was the age of brown. Do you guys remember when every video game that came out was dark and gritty and didn't have color whatsoever? Mm-hmm. Then we had the age of motion sensor, which was kind of going at the same time. Video games go through phases like movies go through phases, like people go through phases.
Yeah.
And during those phases, you'll have 1 or 2 standout games that are different.
Yep.
And they break the mold, and they're like Portal.
Portal, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, and you could, I guess in a way, I'm going to make a hot take that you can disagree with. I like to think that Portal was one of the blueprints for the first-person survival horror craze. Not a direct branch, but a very similar one.
By the first-person survival horror craze, what are you specifically referencing? Are you referencing like PT?
Or are you referencing like DayZ?
Right.
DayZ, no. I'm referencing Amnesia, Outlast.
I'm not. When I say DayZ, I'm not talking Arma
yep.
3 mod.
What are you talking about?
The DayZ standalone.
Oh, okay. I see that. In my opinion, Portal is a first-person puzzle game. We have not gotten many of those since.
Yes.
But the elements of Portal that were very, like psychological and scary, especially with GLaDOS being a villain and the way she treats you and everything like that, those have horror roots. And I like to think that with the way games work, a game will come out of a phase and be the pinnacle of that phase. But that game can also influence other genres because of each game is not just one genre.
Yeah.
It has roots in everything. So I think Portal connected Amnesia, which then connected Outlast, which Outlast then kind of has its own branches I can't really think of right now. But in my opinion, open world has been going on for like the past 10 years.
I would like to think that Outlast like affected Resident Evil 7.
Yes.
Like
there you go. That's a connection.
quite a bit.
I don't know if we want to get me started talking about Resident Evil. Resident Evil is one of my all-time favorite games in like the entire world. And the other series that is one of my all-time favorite games is Silent Hill. I loved the PT demo.
We all did.
I loved it so much.
I never played the PT demo.
You missed out.
That was the one where you were walking down through the apartment.
Yep. I had it downloaded. I kept uninstalling it so that I could reinstall it and play it from the very beginning again.
And that one time.
And then the day that I like uninstalled it, I didn't realize that you couldn't reinstall it anymore because it got canceled.
Yep.
And I don't have it on my PS4 anymore. If I still had it on my PS4, I could sell my PS4 and buy like 2 more PS4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's there's a lot of games like that are just like if you have them on the console, they're worth a lot of money.
Right.
But
I really liked the PT demo, as you said, we all did.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited for a new Silent Hill game that had Guillermo del Toro involved, and like we got Death Stranding, which is like, hey, thanks Kojima. Cool.
I mean, have you played Death Stranding yet?
No.
It looks kind of dope.
I've heard very
Is it a
mixed
Silent
things.
Hill game?
No.
Then it's not what I wanted.
No,
it's not.
I've heard very mixed things because it's a Kojima game and it's not a Metal Gear Kojima game. So automatically people are going to be like, "Stop! What is this?" And I've heard that some of the mechanics are like, even for Kojima, like way too in depth for the player base.
I wanted a horror game that would scare people more than some fun.
No, do not.
That's bleeped. Than some horror movies.
I just want a good psychological horror game.
Right, psychological horror.
To where you could fight back.
No. I don't want to be able to fight back.
Do you not like Silent Hill 2 and its mechanics and how you could like fight the monsters?
This is interesting. Let's hear these 2 takes.
Silent Hill 2, the best parts about Silent Hill 2 are the constant and like overpowering sense that you are in danger. You have like a pipe and a gun maybe, and you're like trying to fight back against these monsters. But how often did you kill a monster and it got back up and you ran because like nope? And also, the Great Pyramid, like those boss fights are scary. When he's like just pursuing you, that's scarier than when you're fighting him.
And you see, I completely see and respect your point, and in some ways agree. But as I've noticed personally, playing through games like Outlast, like Amnesia, these games where you can't fight back, you just have to hide and run, it gets very old when you're at closer to halfway through the game. Because personally, what happens when you have the ability to fight back is not only do you have a sense of dread and a sense of, I don't have enough bullets, I don't have enough, this is going to go bad for me. But when you do it, there's an aura of satisfaction. It's like, I beat the game, I killed the boss. It's like in there's a Resident Evil game where you have to shoot a boss with rockets. Not 5. 3.
Sorry, correction, that's every Resident Evil game. Continue.
Okay, well, still, there's that aura of satisfaction when you're like, bleep you, I'm just going to do it myself so I don't have to do it later. Bleep you, evil monster, I won, I survived this, I now have to go change my drawers. There's that sense.
You know that you could just say, screw.
Screw you, boss man.
There you go.
Right.
I won, you lose. In games like Outlast and Amnesia where you can't fight back, there's no satisfaction. It's just, oh, thank God that's done.
I would say that the story of Amnesia was pretty worth the game itself. However, to this credit, I do think that you're correct. It does get old sometimes, and playing through it. And I also agree that the satisfaction of killing monsters is great. But if you go too far towards the killing monster side, you end up with Resident Evil 5.
Agreed. There needs to be a happy medium.
And it exists. It's the best horror game I think I've ever played in my entire life.
Which is?
Alien Isolation.
Good point. That's a very underrated horror game as well.
Alien Isolation does everything that you said. It, halfway through the game, is like, time to fight back. And then you have to. And the thing is even when you're fighting back, you're not Chris Redfield. You're not punching a boulder.
You're a dude with a gun.
You have the ability to fight back, and it is up to you to make sure that that ability is used correctly and that you survive fighting back. Yep. And it never stops being a survival game. And honestly, it's terrifying. I think it got a bad rap because it does get a little repetitive, like every survival horror game does.
It's a curse of the genre.
Right. But I'll tell you what played into that.
What?
Silent Hills PT.
You're right. However, I'd
Because
argue that PT...
the more it got repetitive, the more unsettling it was.
Yes, but I would argue as well that PT was a demo. The game of PT was
I'd pay $60 for just the PT demo.
I wouldn't.
I would.
That's too short of a game for me.
Do you have any idea how long it took people to figure out how to beat it?
I actually do not know.
I think it was like somewhere near this year. Before people were beating it by accident.
Even with that being said, I still feel like that kind of game type of just constant cycling in a room would get very old to me.
I love when video games play off of a video game mechanic that they weave into the story so that any suspension of disbelief that you had previously of like, oh, this is a video game, I'm playing a video game. It's like, oh yeah, of course, I go to the next room, it's a video game. It's like, oh, it's the same room. And it's like, well, yeah, it's this video game. And they're like, yeah, this is a video game. It's the same room. And you're like, oh. And then they say it's the same room.
I see your point, but I also raise you that if a game has a mechanic like that and plays into it well, more power to it. But if a game solely relies on that mechanic, then I have an issue.
Right.
And I think PT, the demo, while perfect, as a demo experience, PT's perfect.
Right.
As a full $60 release game, if you said, hey, go to GameStop, buy PT for $60, I'd say, what are you thinking? No, I'm getting a game that has more value than that. Because to me, be free, a game's value is how much time I can get out of it. How much time times or divided by the enjoyment out of it. Which is why Outer Worlds right now was 100% my game of the year, because there's a lot of things to do. I'm still enjoying it. I'm having fun, and I have more time.
Right.
Because I'm sure we both have this in common. We do not have the time to play video games. We don't have the money to play video games.
Well, it's pretty obvious that like I am a fan of like Resident Evil and PT, and I think that PT influenced Resident Evil 7, and I think they just
100%.
they just cash grabbed that, and like Resident Evil 7 was fine. When the Resident Evil 7 demo came out, I almost boycotted the game.
What was the demo?
The demo was you did the first level of the house, except they had like ghosts and like mannequins jumping around, and it very much felt like a haunted house. Like,
Yeah.
this is a cash grab, and we're so much like PT. Ooh.
And the game came out, and it was actually very well done, and the best Resident Evil core games, like probably 4.
Yeah.
Also, Aiden, do you have anything to weigh in on this?
Oh, I was gonna say, you think that Outer Worlds is your 2019 game of the year?
Yes. I will admit, have not played many games that came out this year because of just like money, and money's tight right now.
Yeah.
If you could get, what are some others that you would like?
Resident Evil 2 came out this year.
My game of the year.
That completely
Are you
respected.
sure?
Dogbridge.
That's good. However, you know what else came out this year?
What?
Untitled.
Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Resident
Ooh,
Evil
that-
2.
Really?
I played Sekiro a lot, and do not get me wrong, FromSoft is one of my favorite video game company developers ever. Resident Evil 2. They took something that I loved, and they did justice to it at the very least. And they made the tyrant pursuing you horrifying.
So you guys are missing something really big, and I'm actually very disappointed.
What's that?
This is the Untitled Goose Game came out.
I haven't played it. I've only heard good
It
things.
does look good though.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now.
Honk.
It's Rin. I will tell you right now that only Darby gets that joke. Rin sounds like a goose because of their voice.
That was the joke I was making.
Oh, that was the joke you were making?
Honk.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm just gonna cut this out because it was very awkward to cut.
Yeah.
Untitled Goose Game is fantastic. Everything about an Untitled Goose
played
Game. I actually did play a little bit of it.
How much is it on, like, Switch?
I think 15, maybe $10. I think I could be wrong. If it's anything more than that, don't get the game. But it's a fun romp, and it's one of those games that's like the game is super simple, but the joy comes from how much of an idiot you are. Untitled Goose Game is literally like how much fun can you have by yourself with a harmonica in your mouth, just going.
I'm sorry. Can you explain?
Oh, have you not seen that part of the game?
No.
It is $20.
It's not terrible. There's a point in the game where you have to go steal a harmonica, and you, as a goose, pick up the harmonica and start honking into the harmonica, and it makes little noises. And also, apparently, you have a goose pad where you can take all the items back to your nest and
Yeah.
just have them. And also, at one point, you have to steal a rake from a gardener and put it in the water. And when you put the rake in the water, the gardener's just like... And then if you just keep honking at him, it makes you just feel like the biggest douche possible, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, you would enjoy the game.
You would.
What is this? Yeah, I think I want to cause some chaos in this
Yeah,
goose
Ellie,
game.
this is one of those games that the four of us play and lose our minds. This is like ride the bus level, like
This
mind
sounds like
lost.
we need a Garagecast,
It is-
like us just
playthrough.
playing.
Yeah.
It is
Untitled
literally
Goose Game.
called Untitled Goose Game.
That's pretty great.
Yep.
However, I probably would agree with you. Resident Evil 2 is probably my game of the year. I don't own it. However, it was the most fun game I've played this year. Not the most hours, but the most fun.
Right.
I don't even know what other games I played this year, to be honest.
For reference, by the way, Aiden and I went through the bonus stages and just tried to compete with each other to get the best score.
of RE2.
And we got it down to like speedrun levels of
Wow.
like just like, all right, step, follow this line, kill this zombie, follow this line, and then it was just like you'd get to this one point when you had to go across a bridge where there were like 5 dogs that would attack you on the bridge, and we just started calling it Dog Bridge, and it was the worst
Dog
part of the run,
Bridge.
and it was awful.
It was like so RNG.
Right.
As well.
You could do the same thing exactly the same way each time, and it would just depend on whether or not the dogs decided to eat you.
Yeah.
And like, if they didn't, I don't know how many times Aiden and I would be playing, and I just like there would just be silence between the two of us, and then you'd get across Dog Bridge, you'd get through the door, and you'd go on to the next session, which was like consistent every time the next section, and it would just be like good Dog Bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
I
Dog
mean-
Bridge.
We got to our levels of speedrun levels. We were still about 2 minutes behind,
right.
like an actual speedrun level.
Right.
I think I got it down to 8 minutes.
You did.
That's still impressive.
The other thing, can I just say, if we are gonna sing Resident Evil 2's praises, I cannot go any further without saying, hey Capcom, what was up with Leon's voice actor? Hey Capcom, why? I mean, look, I've played Resident Evil games. I don't expect good voice acting from a Resident Evil game. I remember Jill Sandwich. And Chris, this way. I remember. I was there. I was alive.
Over here.
Pinnacles
Barry?
of voice acting.
Yeah,
Pinnacles of voice acting.
I know. I know Resident Evil games.
Sure.
But the Resident Evil 2, Leon, was way, like the OG, was way better than the remake. And you made him such a whiny little punk.
Yeah.
Can I just say, spoilers for Resident Evil 2, if you haven't played it, like, go play it. What are you doing? It's been out for so long.
Well,
Yeah, it's since like 1998 at this point. Play RE2.
Well,
we're talking about Resident Evil.
we're talking about the remake.
Still, you should have played the original one at this point as well.
In the remake, there's a boss fight in which Leon gets knocked into the platform that lowers him down to the boss arena, and he was like, oh no, I guess I'm gonna go fight this boss now. And then Claire Redfield turns to the person that is with them and goes, wait here, and like cocks a shotgun, jumps down onto the platform, and goes to fight the boss on her own. Like, 1 second, I gotta go kick, can we say ass?
No.
1 second, I gotta go kick some ass. Bleep that.
Can we really not say app?
Yeah.
That is not a...
All of this is
You
staying
can go on
in.
live television and say
Oh,
app.
do not.
All of this is staying in. I
Okay,
hope it's
in
bleeped.
the George Carlin skit about what words you can't say on television. Nowhere in there is. So I'm gonna just jump back real quick to the future of games. I think the open world genre is slowly going to die, not
Ooh.
completely, but it's gonna start
Hot
getting
take.
really old to people. Because I noticed this personally with I noticed this with Red Dead Redemption 2 personally, where when a map gets too big, left limb, you
Full
start.
body.
That's a callback. Again, a visual gag. But what Aiden did was picked up the limb dice. Actually, he had it loaded in his pocket. He was ready for it this time. Except this time, as he screamed full body, he threw a piece of candy, an individually wrapped Halloween candy, at Parker's full body.
I almost caught it at my fat rolls. I think
That's assault.
that is true. That's true. Very sodium of you.
Oh.
I think the future of games,
Oh,
as of right now, I think with fads and whatnot, the open world is gonna get too big. You're gonna get
I
lost
can't
in
believe
it.
you said assault and then said this is too much sodium. I'm not gonna let that go.
Let me finish my point. I think
Can you hear that?
yes,
Yeah.
everyone can hear that. I have to
No.
change that now. God, this podcast is a mess.
Oh, McClunky.
McClunky. Funny McClunky.
Copyright.
Copyright. I think the open world is going to get so big to the point you get lost in it, and I think Outer Worlds did something really well to where it has a huge open world, but put into different sections. Let's move on. Put into different sections, kind of like levels, but are open worlds in themselves. If you put somebody,
Everybody, just so that you understand what we're I feel like I am the only person who gives any care about our audience. What you guys aren't realizing is that Aiden and I both have the minutes on our phone as our talking points so that we don't lose track of things, and it's not like episode 0 all over again. And Aiden started editing as I'm looking at it, editing the talking points to make a Game Grumps reference. And just was chuckling at his own joke so deeply as I just looked at him with dead eyes, with the dead soul that I have for this podcast. One day I thought we were going to be big things. Now I think we're just going to end up dead.
Darby, can you please put Ellie's dead soul floating from left to right across the screen?
Stop! Aaron and Dan will never notice us, okay?
Oh no!
No.
one
I'm
day.
ending your dreams now. Aaron and Dan don't care about us.
Man, that feels maclunkey.
That feels very McClunky. Ellie, how McClunky of you?
You almost just spit up your beer.
I had a mouthful of beer when I was there. Oh,
Wait,
God.
everybody, on the count of 3, can we just say McClunky? 1, 2, 3.
Parker.
McClunky. Oh. Aiden was on my side that time.
No, he was just on the side of not cursing on the podcast.
Oh my god.
Oh.
So, I think the future of games, open world, is going to probably get, like, sectioned off into different levels, because at the certain point, the open world is just going to be too big. I think the size of Monarch is almost half the size of the Fallout 3 map in its entirety.
I don't know if I agree with you on the fact that... Sorry, I'm moving the microphone. I don't know if I agree on the fact that open world games are going to be dying out, because I believe that open world games have been getting bigger.
I don't like it.
If you have seen Assassin's Creed Origins or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, however, those maps are huge.
I'm not a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed games.
That's fine. Even including that, Death Stranding, which is a game where you are meant to go everywhere, like on foot.
I've heard it's
to
kind of a
feel-
walking sim.
It is.
Yeah.
To feel how big the world is.
However, I saw something cool about Death Stranding. I don't know the logistics of it,
Sure.
but in the game, it's a lot of walking, it's a lot of running, it's a lot of baby sucking on your life energy. And
I'm sorry, what?
no, I'm serious. There's you have a baby that is connected to you, that you have the ability to coo to make it like go back to sleep, and it's like you're carrying it.
I know the title of the game is Norman Reedus and the Freaky Fetus, but
I've never heard that before. It's really good. It's really good. No,
I've heard that many a times.
it's so good.
yeah.
No, but the
I
baby's.
first heard that from
You're-
my friend Crystal.
I think actually you're sucking the baby's life
Not
energy.
my mom, by the way.
No,
Not
not
Miss
Miss Crystal.
Crystal. No.
You're sucking the baby's life energy, or you're just kind of mentally connected. Kojima. But the players in the game apparently built a giant highway that connects one side of the map to the other.
That is dope.
So like
Wait, in Death Stranding? they
in
built
Death
a
Stranding,
highway?
yes, I believe so because I saw a video of a dude on a motorcycle, which you can get in the game,
Yeah.
going on a highway from one side of an area, like, and it was a minute video, like all the way to another side of the area.
That's dope.
So I think players banded together and each
Well, yeah.
built a piece of the highway.
I watched an interview with Kojima where he talked about the game and how players are supposed to interact, and how he basically decided that he wanted every single interaction with other players to be a positive interaction, because today's climate, we are in a very much battle royale, player versus player.
Oh, I'm so happy
People are
toxicity
fighting
is back.
all the time.
Toxicity in games is so back right now, and I'm so happy about it.
And Kojima wanted to introduce a game where every interaction you had with another person was supposed to be a positive interaction.
I'm really torn right now as to whether or not I'm going to comment on the fact that Aiden's talking about like really cool and like good game mechanics and like the future of and how Kojima's going in the games, and that Parker just threw out another one of his awful opinions.
Okay, that was half joke, half truth. I'm very happy that Kojima is trying to connect players in a more positive way and make it great. However, I'm a sucker for toxicity in any form. The fact that we have a new Call of Duty Modern
TMI.
Warfare game and the party lobbies are almost as bad as they were 10 years ago
makes
me happy.
Yeah.
It makes me so much it makes me so happy just to see the same level of like
I feel like
insensitivity.
that's a little bit of nostalgia for you.
Yeah, oh, 100%.
playing, because like I remember I was not a huge Call of Duty fan. I was definitely more into Halo. However, my cousin was into Call of Duty, and I definitely experienced those lobbies a couple of times. And yeah, there is something very iconic and specific about being in a Call of Duty video game lobby.
Yeah.
No, Who's I disagree. Your opinion is bad. You should uninstall. Never play this game again.
Never play this game. Oh, you're forgetting a racial slur that you just flung at me, even though I'm not that race.
I don't know if we're allowed to say
We're
that.
not.
That
at
is
all.
a Call of Duty.
That is a Call of Duty.
That is a
staple.
Call of Duty way.
is a staple.
The most toxic.
Here's
horrible.
Here's the thing that I'm starting
That's
to.
probably like the least toxic insult I've ever heard.
I'm starting to realize.
Yeah, that wasn't all that bad.
What, racism?
Yeah.
No, add in some homophobia and a distinct lack of respect.
Oh, and a your mom joke.
and a your mom joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe some sex.
I've heard some really
Sprinkle some sexism in there too. And also, since it's 2019, there's probably going to be some transphobia as well. But that's
Or,
true.
also, like...
Unfortunately true.
unfortunate.
You know what? I'm not going to say it because it's just bad.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
I am starting to realize, though, by doing these podcasts and talking to you guys, I love awful things.
Yeah.
Me too.
More than just movies. I was literally
you mean like things that are like not good?
Yeah, I was literally just about to say, like, I'm a sucker for, like, toxic masculinity.
That's not... Why?
No, can I
Actually, I think you're wrong.
No,
Let me explain to you why you're wrong,
Oh my
even though you
god.
didn't
Yep,
ask
there you
me
go. There you
to
go. There you go.
explain to you.
Can I okay, but here's why.
For repeating my bit better.
Sorry, it was better.
Ooh. When I say I'm a sucker for toxic, Mike, that was burn. I'm so sorry. do you want to go? Do you want to leave? Okay.
I meant I'm sorry it was better. Like I wish it was worse so that yours was better, but it just came
No,
off like,
I'm sorry that mine was better.
I'm sorry that mine was better.
When it comes to toxic masculinity, I enjoy it when it's there to be made fun of because it's a great comedy source. I love how, and of course, this is a very privileged thing to say, and no, toxic masculinity is not good, and we should fix it as an issue because of, many different, like, harmful issues. But at the same time, it's very fun to make fun of toxic masculinity, and I love toxic masculinity music, and I adore the stupidity that comes from it.
So you don't think toxic masculinity is good?
No,
You just
I enjoy it.
find it funny.
Yes.
You find it as a good comedy medium. So
Yes.
I just would like to make that distinction
Oh, yes, of
for
course.
any of our
No.
listeners that you're not actually advocating for
No,
toxic
not at all.
masculinity.
Not at all. I'm advocating for toxic masculinity ridicule and slight enjoyment while still eradicating it.
Ah.
It should not exist, and we should get rid of it. But let's have a good time as it goes down.
No problem.
Cut all that out. That dead silence is not good.
Our editor just went quiet, and the whole room went quiet. So I'm very concerned over my.
We
opinion.
had to make sure that we weren't doing something bad.
Darby, are we okay? Do you not like my opinion?
No, you're fine.
No, Darby didn't like a thing that I did.
That makes more
Surprise,
sense.
surprise.
Yeah, there you go. Whoop whoop.
However, can I circle back a little bit?
Yes.
What's your game of the year? Did you say it was Resident Evil 2?
I'm torn. Am I torn?
I think it's RE2. You've talked about RE2 the most out of anything.
I think I might have talked about Fortnite the most.
I was just about to say you play Fortnite a lot. Which is funny considering how much you've been cringing about Battle Royale games recently.
That's true. Well, that's because, I feel like Fortnite has been good only very recently. Chapter 2 is a good, refreshing way to take Fortnite. Jesus Christ. I'm not even gonna explain what happened. Because they basically, their weapon list went from 50 weapons to 6.
Right.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So all the weapons they have now are the pump, the tac, a standard SMG, the 2 types of ARs, rocket launcher, and sniper rifle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a far cry from when I played it last.
They dumbed down the weapon system so that you could basically... They basically just refreshed everything. They made a new map. They added some new things. Did
they take away all of your things that you've earned?
Oh,
You
that's
mean
a good
like my
question.
skins?
Yes.
No. Kept all my skins.
Cool.
Excellent. I'd read something that someone was really, really scared that they were going to lose all their
No.
skins. Because
Still have
oh
all
my
my
God.
skins. Which is good because one of my favorite skins I think was from season 5 or whatever, called The Verge. Which I never see anyone use, which is kind of why I like it so much, because it's such a unique skin, and it still I think looks good to me.
Right.
However, in the same thing that Fortnite is doing a little bit better now by being more refreshing, it is also, I think, in one of its worst moments because it's added bots to the game.
Excuse me?
Oh.
Yes. So
What? Define that.
Yeah.
there are
what
AI
what is a bot?
players
Okay.
in the game.
How many live players are allowed in the game?
I don't know. And I would know if they were releasing patches this season, which they decided not to.
That doesn't seem...
I think what they're doing and why they're doing this is to cater more to casuals. Because casuals, are going to enjoy killing a bot because it feels like you're killing an actual enemy. I mean, it doesn't if you know
It's a bot.
what a bot is.
Yeah.
Because it gives you some sense of achievement. And 2, a casual is not going to read patch notes.
Do you know what happens when you appeal to casual players in your game that has a lot of advanced players? You kill off the fun for the advanced players.
That's true. However, I feel like I'm somewhat in the mid-range, and I still very much enjoy Fortnite at its current point right now.
The thing is, I used to be an avid Fortnite player, so
Yeah.
when I yelled no, that was not me being it. That was me being it myself. I used to love...
being bleeped.
But-
You want to try again from the top?
Yep.
When I was making the joke, no. That was me just being Parker.
Yes. You were frustrated with Fortnite.
I was frustrated
And
with Fortnite.
that was an expression of
Yes.
that. I completely agree.
Because I think to me, Fortnite can be an advanced tournament-based game.
Oh, hell yes.
And more power to it. I still think, however, that in a game like Fortnite, it's not for me.
yeah.
And I've seen games go down the road of when you appeal to casuals,
Yeah.
which sounds kind of like dirty to say, like casuals. When you appeal to people who aren't experienced at the game, that makes me feel better. You start to lose your advanced player base because the mechanics that they've learned and loved to use start either going away or getting dumbed down.
I totally agree.
It's why Smash players hail Melee so much, is because there were base mechanics in that game that made it the way it was.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's also broken, but that's besides the point.
also another reason why people love classic WoW so much.
Yeah, there you go.
It's because current WoW is a very easy game to play.
Mhm.
Very easy. And classic was, a hard game.
But I've also heard good things about Classic in the fact that it was hard, but it allowed for more communication and world building because of how hard it was.
Can I actually talk on this
Sure.
subject for a bit?
Go for it. You guys know WoW better than I do.
It's not necessarily just about WoW. It's about in hard games in general.
Which
I
you are
love-
experienced with.
I love Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I love
I do
games
too.
that are punishingly hard. Because when you finally get good enough to beat whatever the hard game is, you feel an actual genuine sense of accomplishment, which you used to feel when you were a kid when you beat any video game, regardless of difficulty, because you did it. But now we've grown older and jaded, and you don't really get that sense of accomplishment from video games. I got that sense of accomplishment the first time I won a game in Apex. I got that sense of accomplishment when I finally beat Sekiro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, oh my god, it was so hard.
I got that sense of accomplishment when I got the 8 minutes on the
Right.
speedrun
Yeah,
video
there you go.
RE2.
It's difficulty creates great memories.
Oh, yes.
Right. And I feel like too many games are scared to be difficult.
Yeah.
Games need to be difficult to create those memories and to create a sense of, okay, this is why I'm doing this. Let me tell you right now, one of my biggest gaming memories was when I was 7 years old, I beat the Halo 3 campaign on easy. And to me, it was like the world had finally been like, you did it.
Yeah.
Like, I ran out of my room, I was like, I did it! And my
Yeah.
dad was like, shut up! But I still did it. That sense of accomplishment is important in any game, and especially in difficult games. As we get older and we get more jaded, we need those difficulties because we've become so jaded.
Yes. However, there are a lot of people who don't want a difficult game.
No, and that's totally fine,
Yeah,
too.
fine.
I don't know if you guys have seen anything from Gears 5. That's the newest Gears, right?
Yes, I've heard some very mixed things as well.
You can play... I mean, I don't know very much about it. However, you could play with someone else and have your difficulty be a different difficulty than that person.
Interesting.
I don't see a problem with that.
I think that's
It's an option.
a great way.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like I can play with some of my friends who haven't spent as much of their life playing video games
Yeah.
and just want to hang out.
Exactly.
Just want to do things.
My whole thing with difficulty in games is there's no issue with giving somebody an easy mode. The only thing I ask is that if you give somebody a more difficult mode, don't just have it be easy, but the enemies are bullet sponges. Have there be an incentive to play a harder difficulty, because that's why I never played the Borderlands games at harder difficulties, because it was always just, hey, that boss that on normal was like 10,000 health, now he has 100,000. Enjoy playing this game, but playing this boss for another hour.
Yeah.
It's like, make there be an incentive. Maybe I love the mechanics of
That's why Briggsy sucks.
yeah.
It's because they just give her more health.
Yep, I love the mechanics of. I don't know why I'm talking about Call of Duty so much today, but I still love the veteran mode in Call of Duty. Everyone takes the same amount of bullets they do on every other difficulty level. You're just now a human being in a game. You take 2 shots and you're dead.
Yeah.
That's a good difficulty mode because it gives incentive to play better.
Is that the key right there? Because in Dark Souls and Sekiro, you don't have a lot of error room. Like, it's not necessarily the bosses are damage sponges or if they're any more difficult to kill than like any other boss in a video game, but you yourself only have a certain amount of mistakes until you're done.
Yeah.
Is that...
Well, also, the thing about Sekiro and Dark Souls is you don't choose the difficulty.
Right.
But I'd also argue that Sekiro and Dark Souls aren't difficult games.
That's an interesting opinion considering that they're generally renowned for having some of the hardest difficulties in any game.
When I say difficult, the way I mean that is they have a lot of a learning curve. I don't consider a learning curve difficulty.
I fought the last boss in Sekiro. That's not a learning curve. That's straight difficulty.
But it is a game to where as you play it and you learn the mechanics, you're still at the same difficulty. You're still at the same base everything. And compare that to something like the Call of Duty difficulty or like Borderlands difficulty, where on harder difficulties the enemies just become like bigger and you become weaker. In the From Software games, you are at the same positioning throughout the whole game, and you get more powerful as it goes on, and the enemies stay the same for the most part, or get more. They all usually have the same amount of health. They just have bigger like learning curves or like more moves to get through. I don't consider that difficulty as much as it is problem solving.
I guess we're arguing semantics at this point.
I think we are. I truthfully do.
It comes down to...
My belief of difficulty is different from your belief.
I think so as well. And also, I believe my belief of difficulty may have some flaws in it, but I'm a human being and I'm learning.
Right. I think that difficulty is how hard is it to accomplish a task. And I think that, as we're saying, the frustrating way of making a task harder is just making the task itself harder to accomplish. Like giving enemies more health or armor or making the fight take longer, whatever that is. I think that increasing the difficulty in the less frustrating way is saying, okay, you don't have unlimited tries, now you have 3.
Let me ask you a question then. How would you make the Front Software games have an easy mode?
I wouldn't. They're perfect.
So, if we're going off the logic of every game should have a mode for players to just like enjoy a story.
Oh no, I don't believe every game should have a.
That's
mode
where we differ.
For everybody to enjoy the story, I think some games are difficult, and that's part of what makes them the game that they are. I wouldn't want someone to play Dark Souls and play on like an easy mode because you're not really playing Dark Souls. It's part of the experience. However, if we're talking about like, for example, Halo, which we've used as a basic example of like a pretty good video game.
It's a flaw. It's flawless.
Halo has a story that's nice to experience, and the difficulty doesn't necessarily breed the experience of Halo. You're still shooting aliens one way or the other. It's just how easy or difficult it is to shoot aliens. Same thing with the Call of Duty series. It's like if you're playing that game for the story, if you're going on a story mode, how hard the enemies is to kill or how easy it is for them to kill you doesn't really change the experience that much, other than like, yeah, I want a challenging experience, so I'm going to turn it to like hard and I'm going to be really easy to kill. I'm not going to be able to make as many mistakes. However, when it comes down to like Alien Isolation and Dark Souls and some survival horror games, it's like being afraid of death is part of the experience.
I see that, but I'd also just argue that one of the best appeals and the best kept secrets of the Soulsborne and Sekiro games is their story and how it's kind of hidden behind item descriptions and so many different ways to just like find out what's going on. I feel like if there was an easy mode in that game, it would allow for the story to flourish. Because the stories in the Souls games are really beautiful, and they're really heartbreaking, and they're well done, but there's so much to get through to get that story. It'd be nice to be able to have a mode that was maybe slightly easier to where you could just explore and learn about the world. Personally.
I 100% feel like my opinion is hypocritical to myself right now, but no, the story is there. You just have to get good to find it, so get good, casuals.
Point entirely made. That being said,
At least I said it was hypocritical before I said it.
Ellie, do you have a good segue to lead us into the next topic?
Speaking of being a casual,
I've tried to segue us to the
God,
next topics
completely.
so many times.
You just got
I'm
completely
sorry.
shafted.
Sorry. Speaking of being a casual, Parker, how has your first times playing D&D been?
Oh no.
That's how you do a segue.
That's how you do a segue. Hey, Aiden, good
That wasn't
segue.
No. The point of a segue is to not realize that
Hey,
there's a
Aiden,
segue.
that was a great segue.
Thank you.
Do that again next time.
Thank you.
What were you saying, Ellie?
Fish.
Are you looking for your Google Doc?
I am, yeah, I totally am.
We're going on to excitement of D&D.
So,
Yeah, I got that.
For just so the listeners know, this is the first year in my life I've actually played serious D&D. The only other time in my life was when I was 14 and I played a campaign in a Jesuit Catholic high school and I played a Jewish mage. No, that's not a race. My class was literally Jewish mage. I'm of Jewish descent. They were a little rude. But you should not have laughed at that at all. How awful of you! How could you? Yeah, it is bleeped. One of my skills was that I had gold coins that I could throw into areas.
I feel like we should cut this.
Also not.
I am of Jewish descent. I will talk about this.
Why are
So
you
when I
trying
was
to turn this
born,
on?
I was born without any debuffs because I'm white and straight.
Yeah, you are a white straight male. You have absolutely no debuffs whatsoever, and you're also funny and a good person. So,
Every time.
so
Every time this
you
comes
have
up.
so much privilege, man. And then like I have a good amount of privilege too. I'm just like maybe Jewish. And then it kind of just goes down the ladder in the garage of who has the most privilege.
Speaking of casuals,
Good segue.
Parker,
Sucks, doesn't it? Every time.
Yes.
Speaking of casuals, Parker, how has your first experiences playing D&D been? At first, good experiences playing D&D
There you
been?
go. It started off really bad because I was
Sure.
very anxiety ridden and I didn't know any of you. And,
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Alinthris is a very courteous and sweet human being. But when you first meet them, you've known her your whole
Let him
life,
get
my
there.
guy.
Let him get there.
When you first meet Alinthris, it's the epitome of meeting like a tunnel snake in an alley.
That's not where I thought that was
With the
gonna
tunnel
go.
snakes, we rule.
We rule.
Tunnel snakes.
The first time I saw Ellie, she had like a decently attractive woman on her arm and was wearing like a leather jacket and like just looked like she would beat the shit out of me. I'm bleeping that. And then of course, as I got to know her, I knew that that was only partly true. Very courteous, but also baby, but also kind of a hard ass. That being said, I started playing D. You're a bit of a hard ass.
No!
I was gonna say, are we back on the we can't say?
No!
Yeah.
We could say
No!
no. Why?
We can't say that word.
What, Ellie?
Scream that's so loud. You frightened me with the ass scream.
Oh my god.
How dare you frighten me with your
Can't say
scream?
it. You can't say it.
It's gonna be bleeped, and we
gonna
gotta
be
bleep all of that in. And we're gonna bleep all of it. Darby, cut that out.
I just heard that in Starscream's voice, and it made me very happy. Cream.
Oh, that's bleeped. Okay, wait.
How dare you frighten me with your cream?
Oh, so you thought I was a tunnel snakes when you first met me?
McClunky. I thought you were something that you were very much not. And I started playing with you guys, and I started getting more into character. I distinctly remember the first time where I felt like I was actually playing the game is we were in a tunnel, and I was playing a monk, and I was like, I finally spoke up and said something that wasn't, I hide behind the tall dude. And I was like, hey, we're stuck in this tunnel. There's a big rock in front of us. I'm going to use monk powers to, like, break the rock into tiny, smaller rocks by hitting it into its direct weak point. And I very much remember, like, most people at the room just going, like just like looking at me with dark eyes and going, "Nice, roll for it." And I got like a 19, and they were like, "Yeah, awesome." And I just kind of steamrolled from there. As you play more, at least in my case, you enjoy it more. You learn what to do. You learn what not to do. You learn when you're being stupid, and you learn when you're actually being funny but smart. You learn when you can combine all three to make a great character.
So can I ask you something?
Yeah.
As someone who's you're going on like what month? Like you're almost half a year into D&D now, right?
I started playing with you guys in March of this year.
That means that we're like 10 years into
13.
D&D. You're like
Yeah, 13 years.
I am
I'm like 10 years
9
into
months
D&D then.
on D&D.
So, but can I ask you this? You do have some more D&D experience under your belt. As you said, you've been playing with us, and you've been like letting go of like misconceptions and like kind of letting yourself get more into it as things go on.
Yep.
As someone who's getting more into it, what's it like playing in the Wednesday campaign with some people who have very rarely ever played before? And like, do you cringe when you see them making some of the same?
Yeah, can we talk about what happened on Wednesday? Can we talk about what happened on Wednesday?
Yeah, sure.
Like what? Like who was there?
Okay.
Specifically.
So-
I don't actually know.
So we'll talk about Wednesday real fast.
Go for it.
Wednesday is my everybody dies campaign, so to speak. What I mean by that is that we had an overpopulation problem in our player base. There was just too many people and it was getting too loud and nobody got enough time to play D&D. So we decided to cut it down to 5 people a session. What that means is we have a waiting list of people wanting to get into the game, and when somebody's character dies in the game, and it's a system that lends itself to character death more than character survival, then whoever dies is out of the campaign and the next person on the waiting list comes in. We're also focusing on like attendance more and making sure we're here on time and playing for the full length of the game and just making sure everybody's here and having a good time. That being said, Wednesday was the first time we played this. We had a group meeting before in which everybody who's on the waiting list, everyone rolled, and the number they got determined their spot on the waiting list, and the first 5 people, the highest 5 people to roll, were in the campaign.
Yeah, I play a homeless half-elf, half-human by the name of Crit Life. That's his street name. Only very few people know his actual name.
Yep, that's his name.
I want to point out...
That's your name?
Crit Life.
You gave your spot to him.
So I want to point out, just for the size...
After you made Chuck?
Yeah.
Let him get to his point here.
To be fair, Chuck's original name was going to be Chungus.
He's not great at naming characters.
You know, I thought you were improving from Bobbert,
He is, actually. His character is better.
but his name sucks.
Yes. His name apparently is a alias of his character. His character has a normal name, I'm assuming,
Yes.
that the party doesn't know, and he has not even shared with me yet.
No.
But he did make a point that he told one of the NPCs what his old normal name is, not his, like,
Yes.
alias on the streets, who's issued me a challenge a few months ago in which he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You know what, D&D is fun and all,
But I'll never cry at a character death.
and so I have some big plans for this Monday D&D, and I wanted to say so in this podcast because the next Garagecast episode might be after next Monday, and if it is, we'll talk on
Yes.
whether or not who's completed or failed his challenge.
And I also just want to quickly point out before we go to our last couple topics, the fun of D&D and being a better player than I was before is I can have characters like Chuck in my Monday campaign, who is very personable and like has a lot of turmoil, and then even a character like Crit Life, who has a lot of emotional turmoil, but also has a pocket, makes for some very fun D&D playing, and I'm very grateful to have gotten this far.
And we're grateful to have you as well. We're almost out of time. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we sign off, as it were?
Yeah, I believe Elanthrus, you are that of a Carter descent, correct? Your family.
Oh,
are
I
the
was
Carters?
actually. I could also pose another. You know, sorry, I just interrupted for no reason. You could go ahead.
You are of the Carters.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how you guys have a superpower?
I feel like it's more of like a super curse.
It is a super curse. So a lot of people in the garage and in this friend group reference something that we call Carter Spite, in which I've gotten from both my mom and my dad, even though my mom is not technically, my mom is Carter Stranahan, but oftentimes I have sort of a Marty McFly curse of when people tell me, it's really when people tell me I can't do something that I feel I can, or they think I'm not good enough to do something. I have this burning need to prove them wrong. And when people try to use this against me purposely, if it's like blatant and outright, it doesn't really work. It's more so when somebody casually is like, yeah, well, you can't do this. And then I'm like, what do you mean I can't do that? I definitely can.
To point this out from my perspective, I first heard of this, and when you're friends with people, especially in my life, you kind of just like everybody over exaggerates. At least in my experience, it's like that's not a real thing. Then Ellie bought a putty hand from Vaughn's.
It was a small packet of glitter slime.
So I got a glitter slime, and I was like, "Why are you getting that?" Just like before Wastelands, like, "Why are you getting it?" And you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna barter at Wasteland." I'm like, you were not gonna get anything for that slime. Ellie came back with a gun and a gun belt.
Well, the gun belt, or the gun itself, was not part of the glitter slime trade. It was the very, very nice knife that I showed you, and the gun belt.
Knife and a gun belt for slime. Carter Spite is a weapon and is only used in friendship. But my God, is it a weapon? I am so afraid for myself on Monday. If we start this podcast next time and I'm just in tears, Ellie did it. Ellie did it.
And with that
being said, if we have nothing else to talk about, thank you for listening to another episode of Garagecast. We appreciate your listenership. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
it is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you to the one person listening to this. And
with
as
that being
always,
said,
yeah.
thank you, Miss Crystal.